Sky, I've decided to go get treatment. I'll show him Felix means nothing to me. The flight tickets will be ready in 2 days. We're happy to have you back. Dante's voice sounded firm and convincing. I hung up the phone and stared at the piece of paper bearing the logo of the best private hospital in the city, a paper that had thrown my emotions into chaos. For 3 years, I believed my marriage to Felix was built on love. But in truth, it was just an illusion I created for myself. His temperamental and indifferent behavior, I had blinded myself to the reality of who he truly was. That night, when Felix didn't come home, I waited for him in his study. While organizing his scattered documents, I found a folder sticking out of the pile. Something about it caught my eye. It was a DNA report. For a moment, I wondered why such an important document was in Felix's study. Then I read the name written on the paper: Jaden Moretti. The boy Felix once brought home with Sophia, his childhood friend. A boy who always looked at me with hatred, like I was some eternal enemy. Everything suddenly made sense. I had lost. I was paralyzed, despised by a child who thought I had stolen his father from his mother. I had been living in a house full of pity and lies because of my disability. I don't care about your condition, Sky. I love you. I'll make you the happiest woman in the world. Those promises Felix once made used to give me confidence. He convinced me that he accepted me for who I was. Foolishly, I believed every word. But the way he treated Sophia and Jaden was nothing like the way he treated me. Felix's eyes sparkled when he talked to Jaden, as if he were already stepping into the role of a father. Once, Jaden even called Felix Dad. And Felix didn't correct him. He smiled, responded warmly. Back then, I thought Felix was only trying to comfort a boy who had lost his father as a baby, but it had all been an act. He was never that enthusiastic about me, trying to fix things and make a little family with me. I know, he is not giving up on my fate. He just doesn't want to. Felix had been toying with our marriage. I refused to be his puppet anymore. I wouldn't live in their shadows. If Felix never wanted this marriage, then I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me broken. For the past 3 years, I had lived on the edge of despair. I never had children with Felix, not because we didn't try, but because even before we were married, the doctors had diagnosed me with severe uterine damage. Felix never touched me. He said he didn't want any accident. It sounded ridiculous, but I convinced myself it was love. We got married because of an accident. 3 years ago, after returning from a Taekwondo championship in Paris, I was in a car crash that nearly ended my life. The doctor said I was paralyzed from the waist down, and that my internal organs had been crushed by the impact. I remember thinking, maybe it would have been better if I had died. I remembered when Felix proposed to me. He kept encouraging me to live, to try. And I did. I supported him through his startup days, through the years of building his business until it became a citywide empire. But things changed when she came back. Sophia, Felix's childhood friend. Was she crippled by fate? Karma always finds cruel people, were Jaden's exact words the first time he stepped foot into our home. He didn't hate me because I was disabled. He was only protecting his mother. And now, with this DNA report in my hands, the truth was undeniable. Jaden was the son of Felix and Sophia. They had a child out of wedlock. I wiped the tears from my cheeks, tears I hadn't realized were falling. I folded the DNA paper and slipped it into my bag. I needed to hear it directly from Felix, even though the paper had already said everything. That bar downtown, the one people called Majestic, I built for Felix using the prize money from my championship and donations from my recovery fund. And yet, all I got in return was betrayal. I rolled my wheelchair inside. The bar wasn't too crowded yet. I headed upstairs, toward Felix's office. But when I opened the door, I found Sophia sitting there. She looked surprised. Oh. Hey, Sky. What brings you here? She asked cheerfully. I used to see Sophia as a sister, but now that the truth was in my hands, I saw her differently. Her warmth, faith, her smile, and act. I stared at her, expressionless. Do I need a reason to visit my own husband? She hesitated. Oh, of course not. I'm afraid Felix might get upset that you came without telling him. Is that so? I smiled bitterly, pushing my chair closer to her. Or are you worried he'll be mad because I interrupted your little date? I don't know what you're talking about, Sky. Stop pretending. I threw the DNA report in her face. She flinched, opened it, but I knew she didn't need to read it. The moment she saw the paper, her expression changed. She let out a soft laugh, like it was all a joke. Oh, so you found it? Felix really is sloppy. She leaned down, bracing herself on my wheelchair armrest. You're smart enough to figure it out, Sky. So, what do you want me to explain? Do you want me to describe how wild your husband is when he's on top of me? Shut your mouth. I clenched my fists, chest rising and falling. I thought I was ready for this confrontation, but clearly I wasn't. Sophia laughed again. She was enjoying this. In her eyes, I was just a helpless rabbit waiting to be devoured. Don't play the victim, Sky. You should know who the real intruder is here. I said shut up. I grabbed a beer glass on the table and threw its contents at her. She screamed, shocked. I hadn't expected it to sting her face. Her cheek turned red. She stared at me furiously. Then, in a flash, she slapped the glass out of my hand. It shattered on the floor. She picked up a shard and held it toward me. I've been patient long enough, Sky. If it weren't for Felix begging me to stay silent, I would have killed you already. Her eyes burned. I felt fear for a second, but then, without warning, Sophia dragged the glass across her own cheek. Blood gushed out instantly. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Moretti. I didn't mean to upset you," she screamed, collapsing at my feet, sobbing. I was still processing what had just happened when the door burst open. Felix, his face red with rage, his eyes sharp and furious. Then he saw Sophia, passed out on the floor, drenched in blood, at my feet. "Sky. What happened?" Felix's voice thundered across the room. His footsteps rushed toward us before he dropped to his knees to check on Sophia. The redness and the cut on her cheek. Felix turned to me with pure rage in his eyes. He thought I was the one who did it. I shook my head quickly, tried to back away, but it was too late. His hand lunged forward, grabbing my throat with brutal force. He was trying to kill me. "How many times have I told you not to come into my office?" he shouted. "Felix, He finally released his grip, letting me gasp for air again. I coughed, my eyes tearing up, but the burn in my throat was nothing compared to the ache in my chest, seeing how gently he cradled Sophia in his arms. He carried her out of the room. I tried to follow, tried to explain, but the man was consumed by fury. Felix kicked my wheelchair as I rolled after him. "If anything happens to Sophia, I'll kill you." I collapsed onto the floor in pain. Some of the staff and Felix's acquaintances on that floor stared at me with pity, not just for my crippled body, but because my husband cared more about another woman. One staff member helped me up, assisted me downstairs. I ordered an Uber and went home alone. Silent tears streamed down my face the whole way. I thought Felix truly cared about me, that he'd take responsibility for my life, but he didn't even want to hear my explanation. He trusted his childhood friend, who turned out to be his mistress, more than his own wife. 3 years of marriage, and Felix had often ignored me. I always believed he was just busy with his massive business, but now I realized I'd been fooling myself all along. I went upstairs to my room. Ever since Sophia came into the picture, Felix had never set foot in my bedroom. He always claimed he got home late while I was asleep and left early before I woke. Now I knew it was just an excuse. I didn't even know where he spent his night. Or maybe I'd just been too afraid. Afraid that if I pushed too hard, Felix would abandon me, and I'd be left without security. I opened the wardrobe, slowly folding my clothes into a suitcase. Whether Felix stayed in my life or not, I knew I was already broken. But I wouldn't let myself rot in misery. If I had to suffer, then they should too. Just as I reached for another stack of clothes, someone suddenly yanked my hand. Felix. His eyes were dark with restrained fury. Trying to run away after hurting Sophia? Not a chance. I tried to pull away. "Let me go." I didn't even touch her. "Stop defending yourself, Sky. All this time, I saw you as a decent person. But today, you nearly killed someone. Did you do it because of jealousy?" "Jealousy? I told you I didn't." "Enough," he barked. "You're coming with me. You need to take responsibility." "I didn't do anything." "You can't treat me like this, Felix." "Why not? I can do anything to you. Even kill you." My mouth dropped open, but Felix didn't give me a chance to reply. He forcefully pushed my wheelchair toward the elevator and took me downstairs. In the living room, Sophia sat with her face wrapped in bandages. I squinted. Jaden sat beside her, crying while hugging her tightly. He ran toward me, pointed at my face. "You tried to kill my mom, you evil woman. So what if your husband cares more about her? My mom did nothing wrong." Jaden cried. Sophia tried to calm him down, gently scolding him not to speak to me that way.